Regardless of religious orientation, this is a time of great change, a time of great fluctuations of weather and other earth activities, a time of financial instability, a time of passionate questioning of long-held beliefs, traditions, and prejudices, and a time of intense uncertainty for many about the future. In one episode from the Ray Bradbury theater series, The Toynbee Convector, released in the 1980s, the protagonist, Craig Bennett Stiles, claiming to have invented a time machine and to have traveled 100 years into the future, returns with film and other evidence of a new world, a future in which people are living in harmony with each other and with a rejuvenated natural environment, a future filled with technological marvels, a future ripe with peace and wonder. Internationally hailed as a hero at the time, he soon retires to a life of seclusion. Now, 100 years later, normal human life having been dramatically extended, Craig grants a long-awaited interview on the day of his flyby around the globe. In this interview, he reveals to a single reporter, Roger Shumway, that the time machine is a fake, and that his motivation for lying was not to attain fame, but rather to alleviate the hopelessness about the future that he felt gripped his fellow humans. People had given themselves over to a bleak vision of the future and allowed their natural creativity to wane. Now, 100 years later, we, all of us, have created the future that I only dreamed could happen, he tells Roger. When asked by Roger why he has disclosed this now, Craig replies that death is near and that he wanted at least one other person to know this truth before his worldly demise. As Craig hands over all of the evidence and the remote that could trigger a holographic image of his famed flyby, Roger asks what Craig desires him to do with all of this material, to which Craig replies that it is Roger's choice. Then Craig dies. Roger walks slowly to the outer door of the famed inventor's laboratory, cradling the very evidence that could bring him the fame and fortune that he covets so highly. Upon opening the door and informing his fellow journalists that Professor Toynbee lies dead inside, he quietly proceeds to the water's edge, torn between fulfilling his desires for fame and fortune by exposing this fakery and his heartfelt feeling that revealing this truth could help lead his fellow humans into the very state that Craig worked to alleviate. Finally, he makes his choice. He chooses to keep the dream alive by throwing the evidence into the water and pressing the button that caused the time machine to fly around the world for all to see. This is a story of one man's vision, one man's dream. Yet, when accepted by others, when embraced by humanity, this became the future everyone created together. Perhaps we are at such a crossroad. Perhaps we are at such a choice point. Do you choose to follow the experts' predictions, really only opinions, about the financial system? Do you buy into our apparent inability to change the directions and policies of big government? Do you accept the belief that we are individually and collectively victims of inevitable events that are hurtling toward us from a seemingly inalterable future? Systems are just that, systems. They may be invented by individuals. They may be implemented by groups. They may seem to take on a life of their own, but they are still at their heart simply systems of belief that are given life and power over us only as long as we accept such external authority, as long as we go along for the ride. We can choose to recognize the truth within and to act to create and install systems, actually agreements of mass behavior, that support humanity and support a creative harmony of relationships with one another and with our planet. What of government by the people and for the people? When did we choose to let government run itself and tell the little people how to live? As for the future, do we not create boom or bust, feast or famine, war or peace by our individual and collective choices and subsequent actions? Certainly, there is concerted, focused, and powerful manipulation of our perceptions and our beliefs by the few who dominate the media, by those who turn religious understanding into dogma, and by the minority who suppress great discoveries or twist them into vehicles to enhance their own wealth and authority over others. Yet, in the final analysis, it is we, individually and thus collectively, who turn such endeavors by the few into the reality of our societies and the horrors or the joys of the world in which we live. There is a great purpose for this species, for humanity. Its fulfillment awaits our awakening to ourselves, beginning individually, unfolding collectively, and culminating in realms of consciousness beyond our current imagining. We are not going to be saved. It is our time to choose to awaken. Many great beings are waiting for us to make the choice and take the first conscious steps on a mass level. They, like loving parents who support their children in making the transition from crawling to those initial tentative steps, encourage us and are there to hold us up if we should falter once we begin. We need not do this alone, yet we must commit and act in alignment with our commitment. Regarding dedication to a choice, this is a rough quote from W. H. Murray from the Scottish Himalayan Expedition, 1951. But when I said that nothing had been done, I erred in one important matter. We had definitely committed ourselves and were halfway out of our ruts. We had put down our passage money, booked a sailing to Bombay. This may sound too simple, but is great in consequence. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then Providence moves too. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. I learned a deep respect for one of Goethe's couplets. Whatever you can do, or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. Do you choose to simply accept outside authority as your source of guidance and of truth? Or do you choose to seek within, to use your inner authority, your innate ability to discern the truth that lies quietly in your heart, and allow that truth to guide you into appropriate action in each moment? Which do you choose? The time is now. We are in the time of great choosing. It is time to answer the call. Your heart is calling. Life is calling. Consciousness is waiting for you to choose. Humanity needs you. This world needs you. Your spirit needs you to respond to the impulse.